Well, hello there. Welcome to another one of my stream classes here on the YouTube channel for the Peabody Public Library, located in Columbia City, Indiana. My name is Beth Gaff, and I'm going to be your instructor today. And today we're going to talk about understanding Windows and all the different things that Windows has to offer us, whether you're using an old version of Windows or you're using a new version of Windows. It can never hurt to know a little bit more about what you're using, as well as what is out there for you to use. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And as always, if you ever have any questions about this class, you can reach me at the information listed here for you. I've got my email here at bgaff@ppl.lib.in.us. You can also visit our website and take a look at some more of those stream classes that we have offered. And as usual, you can always call me here at the library. My number is 260-244-5541, and I am at extension 118. I would love to hear from you. This has been a very, very awesome opportunity for the Peabody Public Library to have all these great stream classes. In 2018, I do plan to visit some of these again and kind of revise and make them a little bit better. But today, our class is about understanding Windows. So without further ado, let's get right on into that, and welcome to Understanding Windows. All right, well, let's just get this right on going and get started here. So these are going to be some of the items that we're going to be covering today in class. So we're going to talk about what Windows actually are, what your desktop is, being able to open an application, working with Windows. We're going to talk about file basics, what a file is, what is a folder, dabbling in that file explorer, understanding and using our right-click, moving and deleting files, creating and renaming them, as well as selecting multiple files at one time. And again, we're going to be finding files on our desktop or within our computer. We're going to talk a little bit about cut, copy, and paste, a little bit more about that right-clicking and the menu bar that's affiliated with that. We're going to talk about adjusting your settings, being able to open your settings, finding your control panel. There are some keyboard shortcuts that could be very, very beneficial to you, so we're going to talk about those as well. We have common applications that have to do with your web browser, your productivity, and your media. We also have different applications and being able to open files. So opening a file in the default application or changing defaulted applications. We're going to talk about what a flash drive is and being able to connecting with it and working with it. Also being able to use other type of external devices and removing those safely. We're going to talk about troubleshooting anytime you have a frozen application or possibly a computer frozen altogether. Your mouse or your keyboard not working correctly, or the screen is blank. And we're going to talk about the upgrading process. So if you're using an older version of Windows, should you upgrade? That's the big question right now. So hopefully this is covering all those basic skills that you would like to know when it has to do with understanding Windows. So come on, let's get started. So in this section, we're going to be talking a little bit about what Windows is, or what they are. And Windows is an operating system designed by Microsoft. The operating system is what allows you to use a computer. Windows comes preloaded on most new personal computers, also known as PCs, which help to make it most popular operating system in the world. Windows makes it possible to complete all types of everyday tasks on your computer. For example, you can use Windows to browse the internet, check your email, edit digital photos, listen to music, play games, and do much, much more. Windows is also used in many offices because it gives you access to productivity tools such as calendars, word processors, and spreadsheets. Microsoft released the first version of Windows in the mid-1980s. There have been many versions of Windows since then, but the most recent one includes Windows 10, which was released in 2015, followed by Windows 8 in 2012, Windows 7 in 2009, Windows Vista in 2007, and Windows XP in 2001. So this just gives you a little bit more about it. While most versions of Windows are relatively similar, Windows 8 works very differently from other versions. However, if you have Windows 8 on your computer, you should now be able to upgrade to Windows 10, which is most similar to earlier versions including Windows 7. I recommend upgrading your computer to Windows 10 if you can, and you can review Windows 10 on your own by going in there on Google and just kind of researching. However, we'll still point out any major differences between Windows 8 and other versions, which means you'll see other Windows 8 specific information from time to time. If your computer uses Windows 8, you'll want to review both the tutorial for Windows 8 as well as Windows 10. So don't make that switch completely until you are somewhat familiar with what you're doing. So I hope this gives you a better understanding of what Windows actually is, and these pictures kind of go along with that.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life. If you're just getting started with Windows, learning how to navigate the interface is a great place to start. Let's take a look at the desktop, which is the screen you see here. It includes a desktop background, also known as your wallpaper, and the taskbar at the bottom of the screen. The taskbar is where you'll find shortcuts to some of the applications on your computer, as well as the Start button. In most versions of Windows, you can click the Start button to see a list of applications, files, and settings. But if you're using Windows 8, you can click the Start button to return to the Start screen. The taskbar is also where you'll find File Explorer, which allows you to view and open files and folders. For now, I'm going to close the window by clicking the X. Let's check out more features on the desktop instead. The desktop is the main workspace for your computer. To open a program, file, or folder, just double-click the icon. Each time you want to open something, it will appear in a new window. You have the ability to move windows by clicking and dragging the top of the window. When you're done, just release the mouse. If you have more than one window open at a time, you can quickly switch between them by clicking the icon for that window on the taskbar. Almost all windows allow you to maximize the window so that it fills the entire screen. Just click the button here. Click the button again to return the window to its original size. When you're finished, closing the window is easy. Just click the X. That covers the basics. Now that you know your way around Windows, you can start taking advantage of everything it has to offer.
Okay, so I just want to take a moment right now to have you come with me to look at the desktop. I'm going to do an interactive desktop that way you have a little bit better understanding of what your desktop is. This is actually from a Windows 10 screen, and this is what the new desktop looks like on Windows 10. And I'm just going to go through these little drop downs and we're going to talk about them. This is where the folders are on the desktop. You can keep folders, files, and shortcuts on the desktop so they're easily accessible to you. In this area here is your desktop background. The desktop background or wallpaper allows you to personalize your computer. You can choose a built-in background or use one of your own images, and this would be found from your settings. Over here we have the Start button. This is a menu that allows you to open up Windows, and you'll be able to access all the stuff on Windows from there. This is the shortcut, which is the taskbar for easy access. In this example, there are shortcuts to Internet Explorer, File Explorer, as well as Windows Media Player, and we can see those right down in here. We also have the taskbar. Actually, that's what the taskbar is. And here's your Windows Media Player and all that up in here. The taskbar contains shortcuts to applications, the date and time, and more. When you open a program or file, it will appear on the taskbar. You can easily switch between different programs by selecting them on the taskbar. We also have the date and time settings on the right-hand side of the taskbar. You'll see those. You'll also see shortcuts to different settings like internet and sound. So this just is a brief explanation of what your desktop is and what it actually allows you to do. This is your recycle bin up here. This allows you to actually recycle items that you don't want to have on there anymore. So that's kind of handy. Hopefully you get a little bit better understanding of the desktop itself. So as we go on through class today, you'll be able to follow along a little bit better on what's being told to you about the desktop itself. Okay, well, we have a very, very busy slide here, so I want to make sure that I get it broke down for you the way that I'm intending to here. So we're going to talk about opening applications and actually working with some of this. An application is also known as a program. This is a type of software that allows you to complete tasks on your computer. Windows comes with many built-in applications you can use. For example, if you want to browse the internet, you can use Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer if you're using Windows 8 or earlier. So here's our process. To open an application, using your mouse, click the Start button. Then select the desired application. If you don't see the one you want, click All Programs to see a complete list of applications. So here in this example, they are accessing the Microsoft Edge. Once they push on that, the application will appear in a new window, which is the new window that's next to it there. And because there is no Start menu in the Windows 8, you'll usually open the applications from the Start screen. So you'll click on the Start button to go to the Start screen, then click on an app to open it. So that shows you the Windows 8 version down there at the bottom. So now, working with Windows, whenever you open a file, folder, or an application, it will appear in a new window. You can have multiple items open at the same time in different windows. You'll use Windows all the time, so it's important to know how to switch between open windows, how to move and resize windows, and how to close windows when you're done using them. So in the Windows 8, some programs will open on the Start menu, not the desktop. If you're using Windows 8, note the information only applies to windows you have opened on the desktop. So parts of a window, you'll see the same three buttons in the upper left or upper right corner of almost every window. These buttons allow you to perform several functions, including some of these that I have listed here for you. So you can click the Minimize button to hide the window. The window will minimize it to the taskbar. You can then click the icon from the window on the taskbar to make it reappear. You can also click on the Maximize button. This will make the window fill the entire screen that you're dealing with, so that makes it very easy and accessible. If the screen is maximized, the Maximize button will be temporarily replaced by the Restore button. Just click it to return the window to its original size. So that's what Restore does. And you can click the Close button to close the window entirely. So hopefully you have a little bit better understanding of opening an application, knowing what happens when you actually open it and it appearing in a new window. Keep in mind, if you are working with Windows 8, you don't really have that Start screen anymore or that Start button down there. You're on a Start screen, so you can just push on one of those tiles and it'll take you right in. Don't forget about your Minimize, Maximize, Restore, and Close features. Minimize minimizes the actual window down to your taskbar, which is at the bottom, whereas Maximize will put it back up for you, and the Restore button will put it back to its actual size. Don't forget about closing it out when you're all done. So this was all about opening an application and being able to manipulate our windows a little bit. So let's say that you have your windows up now, and now you want to kind of move them around. To move a window, you're going to click and drag the top of the window to move it to its desired location on the screen. When you're done, you just release the mouse, and it's just going to put it there wherever you have dropped it. So you'll actually see that in that very first picture where they're just clicking on the top, do not let go, and just drag it around, and you'll be able to do that very easily. This window will appear in the new location once you've actually when you actually let go of the mouse, it'll just drop it where it's at. However, the mouse over any corner of the window, then click and drag the mouse to make the window larger or smaller. When you're done, release the button. So down at the bottom, you can see in that second picture, they're making double arrows appear. If you do a drag motion, you're able to drag that window in and drag that window out. And then below that, you can actually resize the window. If you have more than one window open at the same time, you can quickly switch between them by clicking the icon for that window on the taskbar. So resizing it, this shows you what it would look like once you actually have it resized. So here's a challenge for you. Go ahead right now and get on your computer if you're not on it already. Get yourself on the internet. Go ahead and get on Google like we have it shown here. And just try moving those windows around, making them a little bit smaller, making them a little bit bigger, seeing what you're getting. Also try that Minimize, Maximize, and that Close feature that we talked about already. as well as if you're a Windows 10 user, go ahead and push on one of those applications and notice how it's opening up in a completely different window for you. So this is just different scenarios. Make sure I've got that challenge on the screen for you. Go ahead and get that challenge done because this is how it's going to be throughout the entire class. I'm going to give you some little challenges to do. So this should be helpful for you to understand opening the application, what some of those buttons are on the actual window itself, and being able to move these windows around.
Okay, so I have decided to go ahead and do a little bit of an example when it comes to that, what we were just discussing about minimizing, maximizing, opening an application, finding a program, moving those windows around. So I just wanted I wanted to show you personally. So I'm actually working off of Windows 7, but it should be very similar to Windows 10 in an aspect that I do have my start option down here below. By pressing on that, I'm actually able to search for programs in here. I can also click here and get to all my programs. However, I want to go ahead and just get on the internet. So now I am on the, actually, let's go into, just a moment. I'm going to close this. All right, so now I am going to go to Google Chrome and I am on the internet now. Maybe. I'm hoping it's going to come up for me. Once it does, we're going to work with some of the features that we've already talked about. So here's a basic internet screen for us. So if I wanted to, and it's hard to see, let me see if I can move this up. There we go. So right here I've got my minimize, my maximize, and my close. My minimize is going to put it right down here in this taskbar for me. And, oh, here it is. My maximize again is going to, this is restoring it. Now, here's what I'm talking about, dragging it around. See how I've got my cursor right here and I'm just dragging around. Coming down here in the corner, I'm able to drag it in and out, drag it in and out. I'm also able to drag it out and in, drag it out and in, however you want to look at it there. And of course, if I hit my maximize, I'm back to my normal size screen, hitting minimize, as well as close. So that's how I am able to move around some of this. So I'm able to move this around. Now I can maximize it, and as soon as I let go, it's going to be where I want it to be. If I want to maximize it, it's going to bring it back out. So that was your challenge. I hope you had an understanding of that pretty well, and I hope you got through it because it really wasn't that difficult. It's just something different. So if you're not used to it, it might have been a real challenge for you, but most of us probably got that all figured out. And don't forget, you can always get in contact with me if you have any questions about that.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
Understanding how to work with files and folders is an important part of managing the information on your computer. As you accumulate more files on your computer over time, you'll need to create new folders to help keep things organized. To create a folder on your desktop, right-click, select New, Folder, then type a name for your folder. And if you want to, you can rename the folder at any time. Right-click the folder, then select Rename. The folder name will be highlighted. Just begin typing to rename the folder. You can even create folders within other folders to organize things further. Double-click a folder to open it. Once the folder is open, you can create another folder inside it by following the same steps as before. Just right-click, select New, Folder, then give the folder a name. And once you have some folders, you can begin moving files into them. For example, I can move one file by clicking and dragging it onto the icon where I want it to be stored. Or I can move multiple files by clicking and dragging my mouse to select the files, and then clicking and dragging the group onto the icon where I want them to be stored. If you want to remove some clutter from your computer, you can delete files and folders you don't need. Just click and drag the file or folder onto the recycle bin icon. Moving files or folders to the recycle bin won't permanently delete them. It's just sort of like temporary storage for the things you know you want to delete later. Then, when you're sure you want to permanently delete the files and folders, you can empty the recycle bin. Right-click the recycle bin icon, then select Empty Recycle Bin. All of the files will be permanently deleted. With a little bit of practice, you'll get the hang of managing files and folders in no time.
Okay, so I thought maybe we would go into some of these file basics like they were showing us, just to get a better understanding, in case you didn't quite get all of that. But what they were talking about is actually using that right click, and by pressing on the right click, I'm able to get this menu. Anytime I want just to get a menu, I can push my right click, and no matter what I'm in, I'm going to get some kind of a menu. Coming down here, I can go to new and then folder, and then I'm able to create my folder, and that's what I'm going to call this, create my folder. By left clicking and not letting go, I'm able to drag this around and move it where I need to. I can also right click it on it and I can rename it. I can delete it from here. I can also create a shortcut. So by pushing on create shortcut, it just makes another shortcut for me. So I'm going to delete that. Now I'm going to go into a few of my programs down here. And let's say that I wanted to make a shortcut for this. Some of these can be shortcuts and some of them cannot. It just depends on how they're set up in here. And I'm just kind of looking around. But as you could see, we were able to rename it. We can delete it. If we double click on it, we're actually able to open it. There's nothing in it at this time. But what they were talking about was grabbing something and being able to drag it in and letting it go, and it would be in there. So I wanted you just to kind of see how that went. There are two main ways to open a file. You can find the file on your computer and double click. This will open the file in the default application. And once the application is open to file, then you're able to go into the actual file menu. Or you can just right click on it and press on open, which will also allow you to do the same thing. So being able to create those new folders, don't forget you can right click and do that. You can also rename the folders from there, delete the folders from there. Selecting multiple folders or files. So let's get into pictures here. So if I wanted to do that range like they were talking about, I'm going to maximize this. I would just left click here on the corner and just kind of drag it and do that. Now let's say what I want isn't consecutive, meaning it's not all in a row. I want this one and I want that one and I want this one. So if I press on the first one I want, I can then push control. Do not let go of control on your keyboard. And now you're actually able to go in and randomly pick which ones you want. And then I can drag those in and it shows I have 6. I'm going to put those on the actual desktop. Or at least I thought I did. I'm not really sure where they put them. So here, I'm going to minimize this. So we have there. So let's say I want this one and my control button's down. So then I'm able to grab these and I can throw them in that folder. So that's what they're talking about. Or you can do that range, which means you want consecutive ones all in a row. And then you're able to drag those out and put them somewhere else. So there's several ways that you can actually have this be accomplished for yourself. So that's actually going to be your next challenge. Your next challenge is going to be get in here and go ahead and create yourself a folder by right clicking, drag and drop something in there. Anything. You can create a fake little dummy Microsoft Word or Open Office document and drag it in there, but we're going to kind of play around with that. So that's your next challenge, is creating yourself a folder, dragging items into it, being able to retrieve it. So have fun with that.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
Have you ever downloaded or saved a file only to have trouble finding it later? Trying to track down a misplaced file can be frustrating or even stressful. But if this ever happens to you, don't panic. The file is probably still on your computer, and there are a few good ways to find it. Let's take a look at some of the techniques you can use to find your files. If you recently edited the file you need, you can try looking for it in the Recent Places folder. Open Windows Explorer, also known as File Explorer, then select Recent Places. A list of recently used folders and settings will appear. Try looking in some of the recently used folders to see if you can locate your file. If you see the file you need, just double-click to open it. By default, your computer will place downloaded files in a specific folder called the Downloads folder. This is the first place you should look if you're having trouble finding a file that you downloaded from the internet, like a photo attached to an email. To view the Downloads folder, open Windows Explorer, then select Downloads. A list of your recently downloaded files will appear. And again, if you see the file you need, just double-click to open it. Other good places to check for a misplaced file are the default folders. When you open File Explorer, the default folders may appear here. But if you don't see them, you can open them from the sidebar on the left side of the window. If you don't specify a location when saving a file, Windows will place certain types of files in the default folders. For example, if you're looking for a photo, try looking in the Pictures folder. Or, if you think you may have deleted the file by mistake, it may still be in the recycle bin. Double-click the recycle bin icon on the desktop to open it. If you find the file you need, click and drag it to the desktop to remove it from the recycle bin. If you are still struggling to find a file, you can search for it. The process is basically the same no matter what version you're using. To search for a file, click the Start button, then just begin typing a file name or keywords. If you see what you're looking for, just click the file or folder to open it. Finally, once you've located the file you've been looking for, you may want to move it to a place that will make it easier to find in the future. For example, if it's a file you use frequently, you can move it to your desktop. And the next time you want to open that file, you'll be able to find it quickly and easily.
Learning how to use a computer can feel overwhelming at times. Fortunately, there are some common computer skills that will work the same way in almost any situation. Once you learn how to use these skills, you'll be able to use them to perform a variety of tasks on your computer. So in this section, we're going to talk about common commands you can use in almost any application, including cut, copy, and paste, and undo. Most applications have a menu bar. So let me get something up here. I think they had notepads, so let's do that. Most applications have a menu bar at the top of the window. Each menu has a set of commands that will perform a specific action within the program. While each application is different, there are some common commands that work the same way, no matter which application they're using. Whenever you open a program for the first time, try clicking the menus you see and various options available. So these would be our menus, and you can see them kind of dropping down. And you're going to see this in various places that you actually get onto the sites. You'll find the file menu on the left-hand side of the menu bar is almost on every application. The file menu will usually have the same type of commands. For example, you can create a new file, open an existing file, and save the current file, among other features. So open, save, exit, new, and all of that kind of stuff. Cut, copy, and paste. Many applications allow you to copy items from one place and then paste them to another. For example, if you're working with a word processor. So let's go ahead and pull up Microsoft Word. I have Microsoft Word up now, and that's a word processor. You might copy and paste text to avoid typing the same thing over and over. If there's something you want to move from one place to another, you can cut and paste instead. So you're going to select the item you want to copy. So let me find a file that we might be able to do something with. That one might be, let's see, let's go into letters. And I'm just going to pick a random letter and have it load up. There we go. So this is one that you would fill in yourself. That's why it's all pre-done like that. But I can select the items I want to copy. I can right click the mouse and select it. So if I right click from here, I now have my copy feature as well as my cut. I do have those features up here as well, but by right clicking it gives me that feature right away. So right click the mouse and select copy from the menu. You can also press Control C, and I'm going to do that now. Control C. And except I clicked on something, so I want to get out of that clicking process. I'm not sure how. Let's see. There we go. Control C is supposed to bring that up for me as well. But I can do my right clicking, which gives me that option as well. Locate the right click in the desired location for the item, and then you can select paste. So we have all of our different paste options in here. And you would be able to paste that in. The item will be copied to the new location. Notice how the original text that was copied has now been changed or removed. So if I come in here, and I'm just going to kind of pre-fill this stuff out. Let me see if I can zoom it in for us. There we go. And then I'm going to put my phone number in here. And I'm going to put my email. So the way this would work is if I want this one, I can push Control, I can cut it. What cut does is it just makes a copy of that, cuts it out, and then I can paste it in somewhere else, and that's what I've done there. I can also push my undo features and get myself back to where I want. I can copy it, and what that does is keeps my original, but allows me to make a copy of the same thing. And then, of course, we know what our paste is doing. So we're going to actually try this as a challenge here in a little while, but I wanted you to kind of notice the cut, copy, and paste scenarios and how we would use those and what we would do. So we are going to actually try that now. So if you have a Microsoft Word program or some type of document that you can get onto, or really anything, because we can do the drag feature also, which allows us to drag on top of what we want. I'm left clicking, not letting go, and then I'm able to right click. So you can do this just about on anything. So if I wanted to go to the internet, let me close some of this out and go to the actual internet here. Let's say that I'm looking for an article. Any kind of article will do. I just need something with some words. Anything. Okay, so we've got words here. So I can still do, let it catch up with me. I can still do that highlighting. I can still right click, gives me my menu. I can copy it. And now I can go back to my Word document, and then I would be able to either right click and paste it in, or I can just click paste. And then I'm able to paste that in there. So you kind of get the idea with the way that that feature works. So that was cut, copy, and paste by using the right click, as well as being able to access it from the actual software that you're using. So go ahead right now and minimize this video. Get if you don't have Microsoft Office already downloaded on your computer, you can download OpenOffice, which is free. It's Apache OpenOffice. So you can go to the internet and actually download that, and it's a free software. You do have to have internet to download it, but once you have it downloaded, you don't need internet to use it any longer. So go ahead and get on there, do what you need to do to get yourself a document, try exploring around, try that cut, copy, and paste feature, as well as your right clicking. At some point, you may want to adjust your computer settings. For example, you may want to change your desktop background or modify your internet settings. You can change these settings and more from the control panel. However, in Windows 10, the control panel has mostly been replaced by the Settings app. The control panel is still available, but most of the tasks and settings are now located in the Settings app. To open the Settings app in Windows 10, you're going to click the Start button, select the gear icon. To open the control panel in Windows 10, you would right-click on the Start button and select Control Panel. To open the control panel in Windows 8, you can open the control panel directly from the Start screen using your keyboard, type Control Panel, and then press the Enter key. To open your control panel in Windows 7 or earlier, you would click the Start button and then click on Control Panel. The control panel will appear. Simply click a setting to adjust it, and you would click Change Desktop Background if that's what you're trying to do, to choose a new wallpaper for your desktop. You'll also be able to change the settings for different applications on your computer. You will usually find these applications under your File, Options, Tools, and Options, or within a separate settings menu. Keep in mind that the location will vary, and some applications may not have any settings you can change at all. So this is just a little bit farther into how you can adjust some of those settings to make it a little bit more personal for yourself. At this time, you should go ahead and maybe give that a try. See if you can find your control panel and get a hold of that settings. In this slide, I'm just showing you the differences with the Windows 10, as well as being able to locate those on Windows 7 or earlier. So if you have a Windows 8 or 7 or earlier, then this slide would pertain to you. Take a look at all the various different keyboard shortcuts that you could use. I would definitely encourage you to try using these keyboard shortcuts in various places. You can do this on the internet, documents, spreadsheets. This example does include PC and Mac, so you would be able to try those regardless of what machine you are using. And again, you can always Google keyboard shortcuts and you'd be able to find what shortcuts are going to work a little bit better for you. These are just very brief ones. However, there are several different types and styles out there. Windows comes with several useful applications already installed. These applications can help you with many common tasks, including browsing the internet, managing your calendar, and shopping for music. Most of these apps can be opened by clicking the Start button, then clicking the icon of the app you want to open. You may need to navigate the Start menu to find the app you're looking for. Internet Explorer is one of the most well-known applications on the internet, primarily because it has come bundled with many versions of Windows for the past 20 years. It has a simple interface and most standard web browser features, including bookmarking your favorite websites. Microsoft Edge replaces Internet Explorer in Windows 10, but serves the same function. It has a few new features over Internet Explorer, including an option to display web pages in an easy-to-read format and integrating with other parts of Windows 10. The productivity of being able to use common applications, Windows 8 and Windows 10 include several productivity apps that can help you with daily tasks like managing your email and calendars, finding directions, and organizing notes. Mail and Calendar are apps that connect your accounts with other services such as Microsoft, Google, and Apple. They synchronize your mailboxes and calendars within these services and display them in a single window on your computer. Maps, an app powered by Bing Maps, gives you access to all of the same navigation and search features. It adds a few other features as well, like pinning locations and saving directions on all your Windows devices. OneNote is the advanced note organizational software originally included with Microsoft Office, but now it's a default app in Windows 10. OneNote lets you create a collection of notes that you can then search and share. You do have a media file, which includes your photos. This was introduced in Windows 8, and it's a digital photo organizer that helps you store, sort, and display photos on your computer. It also includes features for editing, online storage, and sharing to social media. You now have Groove Music and Movies and TV. These are apps included with Windows 10 that access Microsoft's online media services. Groove Music can play music stored on your computer and OneDrive, and it can stream online with the purchase of any monthly subscription. You can play video files stored on your computer with movies and TV, and you can use it to shop for movies and TV shows online as well. We still have that Windows Media Player. It's a Microsoft default basic media player that has come with most versions of Windows. It can play most types of audio and video files stored on your computer. Don't forget about those settings. The control panel is where you can adjust your computer settings and configurations. The Settings app introduced in Windows 8 gives you access to most of your computer settings, but is designed in a new tablet style instead of the classic Windows style. So being able to open files with different applications, when you open a file in Windows, it will usually open in the default application for that type of file. For example, a photo will open in Windows Photo Viewer or the Photos application in Windows 8 by default. But you may not always want this. So I'm going to show you how to open a file in a different application and show you how to change the default application so a file will always open in your preferred program. If you're using Windows 8, files will usually open in a Start Screen application even if you opened it from the desktop. If you prefer to work in the desktop, you can choose to open the file with a desktop application. For an example, a JPEG picture in Windows 10 will open in the Photos application by default, but you can open it on desktop in a Windows Photo Viewer instead. Working with files, you can locate and double-click a file to open it. It will open it in the default application for that type of file. And I have a picture here that kind of shows you how to do that. Sometimes you may want to open a file in a different application without changing the default. For example, you may want to open a photo with Microsoft Paint to crop or resize. From the desktop, right-click the desired file. From the drop-down menu, click Open With and then select the desired application. The file will open in the selected application. You may prefer to change the default application for certain types of files, so they'll always open in the new app when you double-click on them. For example, you may want your photos to always open in Windows Photo Viewer instead of the Photos application. So from the desktop, you're going to right-click the desired file, select Open With, and click Choose another app from the menu that appears. Select the desired application. If you don't see the one you want, click More Apps or look for an app in the store to look for other applications. The file will open the new application the next time you double-click on the file of that type. It will open in the new default location. And I'm going to actually include a little bit of a video here just to kind of show you how we open files and how we can manage things that we have opened. So now I'm going to show you a video of how you can get around a little bit on Windows by searching for files, opening files, the different applications, and things along those lines. So I am working with Windows 7. So if I push on my Windows 7 Start screen, which is down here in my bottom left-hand corner, I'm able to push on Computer. Once I push on Computer, I can actually see some of the files that are accessible to me. If I push on Documents, I would then be able to come in here and find the document that I would like to open. I just double-click on it and it opens right up. So that is very, very handy for us. And that works the same way with pictures. So if I go into Pictures and let's see, and I open up a folder, and now let's say that I want to create a new folder in here, I would be able to right click because right click's my friend and I know that, and I need to be able to Let me do this again. I need to be able to maneuver right click. So if I right click, now I can come up here and just push new folder and it'll just create one. But I like to have people practice their right-clicking feature. So you can just come in here and right-click, go down to New, push on Folder, and then you can label this whatever you'd like. I'm going to label mine Test, and down here I've got some different pictures. Now if I know my pictures are in a row, or they're consecutive, then I'd be able to do a range. A range allows me, oops, a range allows me to come to this area here and I can left click, oh, dang it. I can left click, not let go, and then I'd be able to grab a hold of these and put them in the folder that I created labeled test. So then I could just grab a hold and it tells me I highlighted 41 of them, and then I'd be able to drag them up there. Now let's say that my pictures are not consecutive and I need to go get them. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with the picture that I know that I want, and then I'm going to push the control button, and now I'm able to come through here and just randomly pick the pictures that I want. And I want to leave my control button pushed down while I'm doing this, because as soon as I let go and I push on one, it gets rid of all the ones that I've pushed. So your control allows you to grab them out of order. There's no consecutive about it. They're not in order whatsoever. So let's take a look at Windows 8 and what Windows 8 looks like as far as the start menu. Now we don't have any computers here that I can access right now that actually has it on there. But I'm just going to show you through using Google Images. And this is what your start menu looks like on Windows 8. Your start menu comes up right away, so you don't even have to push anything additional. It's already there for you. So that's kind of nice. Now keep in mind that right click is, like I said earlier, your friend, and Windows 8 and Windows 10 require you to use right click in order to access things. I'm going to right click on here, and this is just on a picture. And as you can see, every time I right click, I get a menu. It just depends on what I'm in, of what kind of a menu I'm going to get that is affiliated with that. Once I right click, again, its only job, right click, is to give me a menu. So now I would be able to left click to apply that action. So if I wanted to save that picture, it sends me out to my pictures and I would be able to save this image. Now, let's say that you want to access all your apps on Windows 8. Windows 8 has a little arrow. I am trying to find it here. I am not seeing it. Let's see. Accessing all apps on Windows 8. Okay. There should be here we go. So there's a picture of a little arrow down here. By pushing on that, it actually opens up the app. So I'd be able to see all the content that's on my computer. I can go to each one of these apps and I'd be able to right click on them and I can actually move them over to my start menu. So that way when I first turn on my computer, the first thing I see is going to be all of those apps coming up on my start menu. Or I could just open it and I would open it by left clicking on it and that just opens the app directly. Now if I want to search for things on Windows 8, there is you have a charms bar here that has a search field. You get to that charms bar by pushing on your Windows button that's on your computer. Or you can hit Control C and it'll pull it out for you as well. By pushing on that, it gives me access to my search field, and my search field will start to search those files that are on my Windows 8 software computer. So you'd be able to look for your control panel or any kind of files that you may have saved, your documents, your pictures, anything along those lines. So it's very, very useful and helpful. Now that charms bar that I was talking about a moment ago, let me get Windows 8 charms. This charms bar not only will allow you to search, but you can share certain types of items with something else, as well as being able to pair up different kinds of devices, and you'd also be able to go into your settings and personalize it a little bit more for yourself. So let's take a look at Windows 10 Start menu. It's slightly different. They've taken that Start menu from Windows 8 and now they've moved those tiles into a certain section, and that's what this section is. Let me find another one here. So this would be what my Windows 10 looks like. Some of these are defaulted, meaning they were already there, those tiles. You just left click and don't let go, and you'd be able to move them around and drag them around. Right clicking on them allows you to pin it down here to your taskbar, or you can unpin it from the start menu. Instead of pushing an arrow to get us to all those apps, they're all listed for us on the left hand side now. So they've made it a little bit more convenient. If I want to search like I had done on Windows 8, I can do that by using Cortana. Cortana is, let me go ahead and just type that in. Cortana is a virtual assistant that helps you. It's kind of like Siri. So if you're familiar with Siri, then you would be familiar with Cortana. She just assists you and helps you with things that you may have questions about. So anything that you want to type in there, she'll search your computer, she'll search the internet, assuming that you are connected to the internet, and so forth and so on. So hopefully now you have a little bit better understanding of how Windows 7, Windows 10, and Windows 8 work. If you need any further assistance with this, please do not hesitate to get a hold of me. I would love to assist you on this because I want everyone to be able to have an understanding of that. So your best thing you can do right now is just kind of pause this video and go in and just kind of play around with whatever system you have. Try right clicking on some of those tiles if you're working with Windows 8 or 10. See what kind of options you get. Try using those search fields. And also with Windows 7 you have all of these search fields up here. So if I'm in documents, I can search documents. If I'm in music, I can search music. If I'm in pictures, everything is searchable. So go ahead and give it a try right now. So we're going to talk about what a flash drive is now, as well as an external hard drive. They're pretty much the same thing, just one may be slightly bigger than the other, and one may have a little bit more memory on it than the other. So a flash drive is a small removable hard drive that plugs into a USB port on your computer. You can purchase a flash drive for less than $20 at just about any retail store with an electronic department, and even at some grocery stores and pharmacies. So today I went to Walmart and I bought two 32 gig flash drives for my computer at home, and they were on sale for $19 for both of them. So that's 64 gigs, which is quite a bit. A flash drive for under 20 bucks. So it doesn't cost a whole lot. It just depends on how much memory you think you would like to have. And flash drives are a convenient way to bring your files with you and open them on a different computer. You should also use a flash drive to back up important documents and other files. So I'm going to show you how you can actually use a flash drive, or I'm going to explain to you. You're going to insert the flash drive into a USB port on your computer. You should find a USB port on the front, back, or the side of your computer. The location may vary depending on whether you have a desktop or a laptop. And depending on how your computer is set up, a dialog may appear. If it does, you would select Open Folder to view files. So as soon as you plug it in, your computer should recognize it and install the drivers that are needed for it, and then open up a box for you to be able to use it. If your dialog box does not appear, open Windows Explorer and locate and select the flash drive on the left side of the windows. The name of the flash drive may vary. So basically that way that we did it earlier, where we were in there searching our documents and our pictures and our music, that is where you would find that flash drive listed as well. So you would just scroll down until you found it on the left-hand side. So once you've connected a flash drive, you can work with it just like any other folder on your computer, including moving and deleting files. So if you want to copy a file from your computer to the flash drive, you would just click and drag the file from your computer and then drag it on over to your flash drive. The file will be duplicated and it will be saved to the flash drive. The original version of the file should be saved on your computer, and the copy would come over to the flash drive. So if you don't want both of those, once it's on the flash drive, then you would just be able to delete it from the computer. And you can do that by right-clicking on the file and then just pushing delete. If you want to copy a file from your flash drive to your computer, you would do the same thing. Excuse me, you would click it from the flash drive and drag it over to your computer, and then either put it in a folder you've created for it, or drag it over to your desktop, or put it in a specific folder that you already know you want to use. If you want to remove a file from your flash drive, click and drag the file to the recycle bin. Or you can just right click on it and delete it, and it'll put it in your trash. So you want to make sure to empty out that trash because it's still storing it in there. So you would just right click on your trash and then empty the recycle bin. When you're done using a flash drive, don't remove it from the USB port just yet. You'll need to make sure that the disconnect is properly done to avoid damaging any files. And you can see that I have that over here for you on the screen. So how they've drug it from the flash drive onto the desktop, which you can do that in reverse order as well. And then you would be able to remove it by right clicking and ejecting it from the computer itself. Then you can safely remove the flash drive from the USB port. This works exactly the same way with an external hard drive. That's all this flash drive is. It's just a mini hard drive. So you would do it exactly the same way. You would plug it into your USB, locate it, work with it the way you need to, eject it, and you are done. And what makes these nice is that you can take them with you wherever you go, so you don't have to worry about not having the information with you that you want to have. So hopefully you have a better understanding of what a flash drive is, how to use it, how to eject it, as well as an external hard drive. So if you have a flash drive right now, go ahead and try plugging that into your computer and locating it so you know where it is, and try dragging files in and dragging files out. Now we're going to talk about basic troubleshooting on your computer. Do you know what to do if your screen goes blank? What if you can't seem to close an application or can't hear any sound from your speakers? Whenever you have a problem with your computer, don't panic. There are some basic troubleshooting techniques you can use to fix issues like this. So I'm going to show you or talk to you about some of the simple things you can try when troubleshooting, as well as how to solve common problems you may encounter. There are many different things that could cause a problem with your computer. No matter what's causing the issue, troubleshooting will always be a process of trial and error. In some cases, you may need to use several approaches before you can find a solution. Other problems may be easy to fix. So I'm going to recommend that you start by using some of the following tips. Write down your steps. Once you start troubleshooting, you may want to write down each step you take. This way, you'll be able to remember exactly what you've done so you can avoid repeating the same mistakes. If you end up asking other people for help, it will be much easier if they know exactly what you've already tried. Also, take notes about error messages. If your computer gives you an error message, be sure to write down as much information as possible. You may be able to use this information later to find out if other people are seeing the same error. Always check the cables. If you're having trouble with a specific piece of hardware, computer hardware, such as your monitor, keyboard, an easy first step is to check all related cables to make sure they're properly connected. Restart your computer. When all else fails, one of the best things to try is simply restarting the computer. This can solve a lot of basic issues you may experience with your computer. So what about troubleshooting specific problems? Now that you know a few troubleshooting techniques, we're going to talk about some possible solutions for some of the most common problems you may encounter. Problem. Here's your problem. An application is running slow. That's the problem. Solution 1. Close and reopen the application. So if it's not working properly, try closing it out and reopening it. Another solution for that would be to update the application. To do this, click the Help menu and look for an option for Check for Updates. If you don't find this option, another idea is to run an online search for application updates. Use those search fields that we've talked about and type in updates. So that would be a specific problem of an application running slow. Here's another problem. An application is frozen. Sometimes an application may become stuck or frozen. When this happens, you won't be able to close the window or click any buttons within the application. So the first solution would be force quit the application. If a program has become completely unresponsive, you can press and hold Control Alt Delete on your keyboard to open the task manager. You can then select the unresponsive application and click End Task to close it. Another solution would be to restart your computer. If you're unable to force quit an application, restarting your computer will close all open apps. Here's another problem. The computer is frozen. Not an application, but the computer itself. Sometimes your computer may become completely unresponsive or frozen. When this happens, you won't be able to click anywhere on the screen, open or close an application, or access shutdown options. So here's some solutions. Solution 1, restart Windows Explorer. To do this, press and hold Control Alt Delete on your keyboard to open the Task Manager. Next, locate and select Windows Explorer from the Processes tab and click Restart. If you're using Windows 8, you may need to click more details at the bottom of the window to see the Processes tab. Solution 2. Press and hold the power button for 5 to 10 seconds. This will force the computer to shut down. Solution number 3. If the computer still won't shut down, you can unplug the power cable from the electrical outlet. If you're using a laptop, you may be able to remove the battery to force the computer to turn off. Note, this solution should be your last resort after trying all the other suggestions that I've talked about. So here's another problem. What about the mouse and keyboard have stopped working? So solution 1 is, if you're using a wired mouse or keyboard, just make sure that they're correctly plugged into your computer. Solution 2, if you're using a wireless mouse or keyboard, make sure it's turned on and its batteries are charged. So if it's not working, it could very well be that the batteries are dead in the unit and that you need to replace them. Here's another problem. The screen is blank. So solution 1 for a blank screen, the computer may just be in sleep mode. Simply click the mouse or press any key on the keyboard to wake it up. Solution 2, make sure the monitor is plugged in and turned on. Solution 3, make sure the computer is plugged in and turned on. And solution 4, if you're using a desktop computer, make sure the monitor cable is properly connected to the computer tower and monitor. Another problem, I can't hear the sound on my computer. So if you can't hear the sound on your computer, solution 1 would be to check the volume level, click the audio button in the bottom right corner of the screen, and make sure the sound is turned on and volume is up. Solution 2 would be check the audio player controls. Many audio and video players will have their own separate audio controls. Make sure the sound is turned on and the volume is up in the player. Solution 3, check the cables. Make sure external speakers are plugged in and turned on and connected to the correct audio port or USB port. If your computer has color-coded ports, the audio out port would usually be green. And solution 4, connect headphones to the computer to determine if you can hear sound from the headphones. So these are just some basic troubleshooting skills that you can do on your computer for very quick, simple type fixes to kind of help you get along. You could also go in and do a refresh of your PC, resetting it, as well as looking at your advanced options. It never hurts to check your control panel to see if anything's going on there as well. So if you're having any of these problems, my first suggestion would be restart, restart, restart. Restart your computer, and sometimes it'll just fix itself without you having to do a whole lot. So if you haven't already upgraded from Windows 8, you may have been prompted to upgrade to Windows 10. The big question I get is, why should I upgrade to Windows 10? No, Windows 10 is a free upgrade that expired on July 29th of 2016. So if you still want to upgrade to Windows 10, you'll need to purchase it from Microsoft. So it was a free upgrade for Windows 8 users up until July 29th of 2016. But why should you upgrade to Windows 10? Windows 10 is the most recent version of Windows operating system for PCs. Although it has mostly been well received, Microsoft did attract some controversy in 2016 due to its push to upgrade users from earlier version of Windows. Many users complained that it was difficult to opt out of the upgrade, and in some cases their computers were upgraded without their knowledge. Despite this controversy, we do still recommend that you upgrade your computer to Windows 10. So why? Why should you? If you're happy with your current version of Windows, you might be wondering, why should I upgrade? After all, Windows updates have historically created a number of problems for PC users, especially with the release of Windows 8. While Windows 10 is not without some issues, it's probably the most stable and secure version of Windows that's ever been released. It also includes several new features, including Microsoft Edge and Cortana, and can make your computer feel a lot more powerful. Perhaps most importantly, Windows 10 will also continue to be supported by Microsoft for much longer than Windows 7 or Windows 8. That's why I strongly recommend taking advantage of the free upgrade offer before it expires if you did. If you didn't, you may want to check into upgrading Windows 10. As with any major operating system update, I also recommend backing up your files before upgrading. So make sure any important files that you have, you've gotten backed up on something else. That way when the upgrade happens, you don't have to wonder if your files are still going to be there. So if you have any more questions about whether you should upgrade to Windows 10, or if you have already upgraded to Windows 10 and you're not really sure what to do now, just get in contact with me and I would be more than happy to assist you with that. So I would recommend going ahead and just kind of Googling the upgrade and seeing what the differences are and finding out if it's going to work for you or not. Breathe in, breathe out. You have completed the Windows, operating Windows class, and you should be very, very proud of yourself. You made it. Take a deep breath. It's all over. You don't have to do this again unless you want to. But thank you, thank you, thank you. Without you, there would be no reason to have these classes at all. So thank you for taking the time to look into it. I am always here for you. So if you need further assistance, please don't hesitate to contact me at the phone number listed here or email me at bgaff@ppl.lib.in.us. Remember, if you're local, one-on-one appointments are always free here at the library, so get with me so we can get you signed up. And I am all about feedback. I love it when people leave comments for me on the videos that they've watched that I've published. I'm always looking for new subjects to cover, so please email me or message me or however you need to some of those ideas that you may have today. You can also join my group on Facebook. It's under Tech Talk Technology, and we just do a bunch of different kinds of Tech Talk items there. So I would love to have you be a part of my group. So thank you for taking the time to being a part of this class, and thank you for participating, and try to share this with a friend. You never know who might benefit from it. So thank you so, so much for being a part of the computer classes.